and magnetism. So that's a topic we are going to see. Moving charges and magnetism. This is the chapter number 4 in the 12th syllabus. Now, this it's a little bit different. I would say it is a little bit different topic, but you will get used to that. First, we need to talk about something called magnetic field. We have seen electric field. Now we'll talk about magnetic field. Magnetic field. So the magnetic field is represented by B bar. It's a vector field. It represented by B bar. And it has a units of Tesla. It has a units of Tesla, and it is Newton by ampere meter square. This is the unit. Tesla means Newton by ampere meter square. It's 1 Tesla is 1 Newton ampere inverse meter power minus 2. This conversion factor you need to know first. The Tesla is the unit of magnetic field. Okay. Tesla is unit of magnetic field. Magnetic field. So how to quantify this Tesla? What is the range of this Tesla? To understand, the MRI machines, MRI machine, if you consider, the MRI machines will have about 3 Tesla. If we reach the field of 4 Tesla, if a human is around to 4 Tesla to 5 Tesla, if a human is around this field, our body will break and our hemoglobin will get attached to the magnets. So that is the enormous amount of field is 4 Tesla. 1 Tesla itself is a huge amount of field. Normally our magnets what we use in our household, they will be at the range of micro Tesla, milli Tesla, depending upon the situation. So what you have to understand is Tesla is a very large unit. Tesla itself is a very large unit, and the MRS machines will be around 3 Tesla. And if you reach the field of 4 Tesla to 5 Tesla, our body will break into pieces. That is the humongous amount of magnetic field. That is. So to have the feel of the numbers, I am telling you this funda. And now let us see, this is about the magnetic field, how it is connected to the electric field. How it is connected to the electric charges is what we are going to study in this particular chapter. This is the brief introduction. So initially there was some scientists like Oersted and a few others. They have conducted some experiments. In fact, Maxwell also, they conducted a few experiments where a current carrying conductor, what is their observation is that the current carrying conductor has shown some deflections in the needle, compass needle. So the observation is that current carrying conductor has shown the deflections in the compass needle. It has shown some deflections in the compass needle. Now see, if the direction of current is upwards, the needle deflection is downwards. The needle deflection, when I point downwards, that is the north pole of the needle. Okay, arrow mark whatever I have shown, that is the north pole of the needle. Okay, this is the north pole of the needle. This is how it has deflected. Suppose it is like this, the needle deflection is this way. This is what they have seen. This is the north pole deflection. This is the way. North pole. The north pole of the needle will deflect that way. Okay, if the direction of current is reversed, the deflection of the needle is that way. Hopefully you understood. So what is the conclusion? If a magnet is deflected, there is a magnetic field. The conclusion is that current carrying conductors produces magnetic field. Magnetic field. Current carrying conductor produces magnetic field. Is it clear? Now please note it up to here. We'll continue. Once noted, please let me know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, good. Now this is over. After this, we have the next thing is that this is a very, very important point. Mark it. Most important point. The electric field can act on a charge whether it is at rest or in motion. F is equal to QE. This is the expression for the electric field, and then the force exerted by the electric field. F is equal to QE. The electric field can act on a charge, and always remember, charge is accompanied by mass. Charge is always accompanied with mass. Most important. This is the point one. The point two is the electric field can act on a charge whether it is at rest or in motion. But the magnetic field acts only on a moving charge. Only on a moving charge. And it doesn't act on a charge at rest or a stationary charge. This is the most important fundamental point what you have to know in this entire particular chapter. Most important. These 2 points are the most important things. Why it is so? The magnetic field vector is given by Q into V bar cross B bar, where V is the velocity of the charged particle and B is the amount of magnetic field. Oh, I think a Tesla unit. I think I did a mistake. One Tesla is 1 Newton ampere inverse meter inverse, not meter square. Please change it. I did a mistake here. 1 Newton ampere inverse meter inverse. It's not meter square. Please change it. It is meter inverse. One Tesla is 1 Newton ampere inverse meter inverse. I did a mistake. Not meter square. It is meter inverse. It's most important. Forgot. Somehow I did the mistake. The meter square will come. There is another unit. I got confused. It's Weber per meter square. Another unit is there. That is Weber per meter square. Clear? Is this point clear? The magnetic field acts only on a moving charge and it does not act on a charge at rest or a stationary charge. It will not act on a stationary charge. Most important. Can I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. I'll rewrite again. There is something called magnetic flux. Magnetic flux. Magnetic flux is measured in Webers. Okay. And the magnetic flux phi B is equal to magnetic field into area of cross section. So it is actually Tesla meter square. Area of cross section is meter square. So the magnetic flux is measured in Webers. 1 Tesla meter square is 1 Weber. This is 1 unit. This is where I got little bit confused. 1 Tesla, I don't know. Generally, I don't miss that, but sometimes some lapse in my concentration. 1 Weber. So meter square, when you take it to the other side, when Weber meter power minus 2. This is where you get meter power minus 2. The 1 Tesla, this is the connecting units. 1 Newton ampere inverse meter inverse, that is 1 Weber meter power minus 2. So hence this is the one which you have to note. Please change it what I told earlier. So these are the things what you have to have a connection. And the electric field, as you all know, Newton per Coulomb or volt meter inverse, volt per meter, that's another unit. So these two you have to remember. That is for the electric field. This is for the electric field. Electric field. So I'm writing the unit side by side so that you will understand the difference. And this is the magnetic field. Magnetic field. The units of magnetic field is Tesla, that is 1 Newton ampere inverse meter inverse, 1 Weber meter power minus 2. These are the units. And the electric field is Newton per Coulomb or volt meter inverse. Okay, you got it? Hopefully now. The next one is called Biot-Savart's law. Biot-Savart's law. That is the next topic. It's Biot, T silent actually. Bio we have to call Biot-Savart's law. So what does it tell? You do one thing, you take any conductor. Take any conductor in which some current I is flowing in the conductor. what you have to do is, in the direction of the flow of current, you cut some element that is called current element, or you can call it small element, which is called current element. Now the direction of the current element is in the direction of the current. You cut the current element of length dl, and it will be in the direction of the current. Now you take any point P somewhere such that you draw a line between the current element and the point P, one line you draw, and it makes an angle of theta. It makes an angle of theta. Now, what does this Biot-Savart's law says is that the magnetic field is proportional to the current I. The magnetic field, and this point P is at a distance of R, you can say, the magnetic field is inversely proportional to the R square. The magnetic field is directly proportional to the current element. The magnetic field is directly proportional to the current element, and then uh, yeah, that's it. These are the things: I, dl, sine theta. Yeah, that's it. So these are the three things what you have to remember: the length of the current element and inversely proportional to the distance of the point from the current element, and then I. So the B is, you can say, it is proportional to I dl by R square, as simple as that. And now when you remove the proportionality constant, we'll end up with magnetic permittivity mu naught by 4 pi into I dl sine theta. Of course, it is also proportional. This I forgot. That is, actually we'll write dB. It's not B. It is a small amount of magnetic field it will produce because of the current element, and dB is also proportional to the sine of the angle between the line connecting the current element and the point P and the current element itself. So this line and this line, this angle, so sine of that angle. So ideal sine theta divided by R square. This is called Biot-Savart's law. To find the magnetic field produced by the entire conductor, we need to integrate on both sides. So this is the very usual thing. So to get the full magnetic field, this is what you have to know: mu naught by 4 pi I dl sine theta divided by R square. This is what you have to know. What is mu naught by 4 pi? That is called magnetic permittivity. Permittivity. Mu naught by 4 pi is, the value is 1 into 10 to the power of minus 7. The units are Henry per meter. Henry per meter. That's what you have to remember. Units are Henry per meter. And other units are there. Other units is Newton ampere power minus 2. That is other unit. Yeah, this Newton 1 Newton ampere power minus 2 is actually 1 Henry per meter. These things you have to remember. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now let's move on. Now the next one is direction of the magnetic field. Direction of magnetic field. I think we have discussed this once, if I remember, but otherwise it's also okay. So what you have to do is assume that there is a straight conductor. Okay, assume that there is a straight conductor. Okay, now what you have to do is assume that the current is flowing like this on the top. The current is flowing like this towards the top. We're not discussed. Yes, we're not discussed. Assume that current is flowing like this to the top. And now I want you to imagine, hold the conductor with right hand. Hold the conductor with your right hand. Okay, I hope you can do that. Imagine that if you have a stick in your hand, take a stick. If you have a pen in your hand, take a pen. Okay, just maybe I will open up my video. Maybe you can see what I'm doing. The control of the video. Open up. Yeah, please see me. Everyone could see me. Are you able to see me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Are you able to see the pen in my hand? Pen in my hand. All of you can do what I do. Just do that what I'm doing. So I have your pen in my hand and hold like this. Hold your pen in your hand. And you imagine your pen is the conductor. Can you do that for me? All of you can hold your pen in your hand and imagine that's the conductor. Now, the part 2 is place your thumb in the direction of current. In the direction of current. This is what you have to do. Place your thumb in the direction of current. All of you can do that. Now current is flowing upwards. Imagine that current is flowing through the stick what you are holding, or the pen what you are holding, like this. I hope you can see the pen, and I have placed my thumb in the direction of the current. Everyone could see? Everyone is able to see this? All of you? Everyone could see this?
No, sir.
Yeah,
No,
good,
sir.
good. No or yes, I didn't get still. Able to see?
No, sir.
No. Now?
Yes, sir.
Now you are able to see?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now hold the pen, and then I have put my thumb. I have put my thumb like this in the direction of current. The current is flowing upwards. Okay, clear? Put my thumb in the direction of current. Now what I have to do? Now, how my fingers are curling towards the pen. Now I will show this. It's a little bit difficult. Now, this is how I have put my finger. This is my thumb. And this is how my fingers are curling, right? My fingers will curl like this inside. My fingers will curl like this inside. Okay. My fingers will curl like this inside. Now my nails are going like this. Okay, right? And now my fingers are going inside. Now assume that this is the plane of the paper. My fingers are going inside. And now if I move inside, we will put a cross. That means this the direction of the magnetic field, that is inward. We'll call this inward. When I put a cross, that is inward field. Is this clear?
Sir, we can't see your face, sir.
No, I removed the video. Just watch the screen, what is happening. Because
Yes,
it is
sir.
expecting a lot of bandwidth, we may get a connection issue. That's why I'm not using the video. Now try to watch and do it for yourself. Otherwise, you will not get this, what I'm telling. We'll spend time on it. Imagine you are holding your pen with your right hand. Place your thumb in the direction of current. I have drawn it upwards now. Okay. Please respond to me whether you are doing it or not on your own. I have done this up to this. Hold your pen in your right hand and place the thumb upwards in the direction of current. Done it?
Yes, sir.
Done it. Good. Now to hold the pen, you had to move your fingers. You had to curl your fingers inside, right? To hold the pen, you had to curl your fingers inside. I didn't get? Okay, I will tell you. This is how initially your fingers are, right? And first what you had to do, this is the stick. This is the stick and this is your thumb. And this is how the stick is. Now hold the stick by folding your fingers. You have to fold your fingers in order to hold the stick, right? Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the way you have folded is inwards, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now that gives the direction of the magnetic field. So this is inward field. Okay. At the point P, the field is inwards. Got it? At the point P, the field is inwards. Now, let us work out at the point Q what happens. We'll put a point Q here, this side. And now this is inwards. And then when you come here, if you have to put your thumb like this, now the fingers will come out of the paper when you do that. Fingers will come out of the paper. The magnetic field, no, it forms like a circular loop. Now this is going inwards like this. It will come outward from here. The outward field is represented like this. We'll put a dot. This is outward field. So what you have to remember is that very simple thing. I'll redraw once again. If you have a current carrying conductor like this, if this side, now you see this side is definitely inwards at the point P, and the other side at the point Q, on the other side, it will be outwards. The field is coming out. This is outward field. Outward field. This is decided by the curl of your fingers, how you are holding. And now you hold a thumb like this. In order to, you put the thumb like this. And now your right palm will go like this. And it is coming out of the screen. It is coming out of the screen. It is coming out of the screen. Okay, I hope you understand. It is coming out of the screen now. When it is coming out of the screen, that is outward field. And now for this point, this is inward field. So the magnetic field will not have unique directions around the conductor. Around the conductor at different points, it can have different direction because the magnetic field will form like a circular loop. It forms like a circular loops around the conductor. Got it? So this is like a situation of, I can say, anti-clockwise type field. This is an anti-clockwise type field. I can have a clockwise type field when the current in the conductor is reversed. So here I get outward, and here at this point I get inward, and then what I get is a clockwise type field. Now this is like clockwise. If the direction of current is reversed, I get clockwise type field. And here this is outward and this is inward. I hope you got this funda. You have to hold your right hand and do it for yourself. Then only you will understand this. Now we have a small exercise. The problem question 1. Find the direction of magnetic field. Find the direction of magnetic field in each case. So we'll draw different cases. So let me say this is the current like this. We have this is the current conductor. So here let us say the point P is there. Here let us say the point Q is there. And I want what is the direction of the magnetic field at P or Q? P and Q. So can you give me? That is a question number 1. Guess and tell me. Question number 2.
P is inward, sir.
P is inwards. Very good. P is inward and Q is outward. Simple. This is inward means this side is outwards. As simple as that. Finished. You don't have to even check. Just hold the conductor. And now for this, we'll have here the point P is there. Point P is there. At this point, whether it's inwards or outwards. Check it. Take your time.
Dot, sir.
Dot. Very good. Very good. Fantastic. Very good. So that is outwards. Very good. Very good. Now, can I clear this? One more. The next one. This conductor, it's like this. And at the point R, so what's the direction of the field at the point R?
Outward.
Okay, very good. Outwards.
Dot.
Dot. You get a dot, that's outward. Very good. Very good. And now, another question. And now, it's not just magnetic field. Current also can be represented as dot. Now you see, this question is little bit complicated. This is current they have given. If the current they have given like this, what does it mean? The conductor, whatever is there, it is coming out of your phone. Okay, you have to imagine that, or put a pen over the phone. Now, if that is given like this, put a pen over the screen of your phone. Now, what they asked is, at this point P, what is the direction of the magnetic field? This is a little bit typical question. I will do that. You see this, when you had to hold the conductor like this, you had to do it for yourself. When you put a pen, and then if it is coming out like this, at the point P, it is moving up. At the point P, it will be like moving up. It will be moving up, and that will be exactly perpendicular to this. It will be moving up, and this is the direction of the magnetic field. Okay. And now similarly, they have given the next case. It's like this. Now the current is flowing in. This is the current direction they have given. Current direction they have given. This is the current direction. So you put the thumb like this, and now they asked at the point P only. The same point, this side only. And now when you curl the fingers, it will be moving down. So it's like this you will draw, so that this is 90 degrees. Ensure that this is 90 degrees. So it will be like this. So B bar. Hope I am clear with this. And now very important point. B bar is perpendicular to both DL bar and R bar. Very important. So B bar dot DL bar is equal to 0 and B bar dot DR bar or R bar, sorry. Here in this case, it's R bar. B bar dot R bar, that happens to be 0. In either of the cases, it is 0. Very important. Written this, hopefully done. And now,
Yes.
next one. Magnetic field due to a a finite current carrying conductor. Current, finite current carrying conductor. So I will give the formula. Don't worry about the derivation of this one. It's little bit complicated derivation. The conductor is of some finite length L. Anyway, the length will not come into the picture. And this conductor will consider. And from the conductor, we will take a point P at a perpendicular distance of R. Or in this case, now your textbook, it's given as A. A is, always remember, this is perpendicular distance of the point P from the conductor. Now, from the top, this top, let us say the conductor is AB. From the top of A, we'll join this point P and measure the angle, let us say alpha. This angle is alpha. That is in clockwise. And now at the point B, we measure this angle this way, that is anti-clockwise. This is beta. Got it? This is a finite conductor and we choose some point P at a perpendicular distance of A from the conductor. Now the magnetic field at the point P, because of this conductor, the current is flowing is I. It is given by B is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi A into sine alpha plus sine beta. This formula you have to remember. The alpha is measured in the clockwise for the top one. Top part alpha will come, bottom part beta will come. Alpha is measured this way, beta is measured the other way. Both are not measured in the same way. This is very important. Alpha is measured in clockwise, beta is measured in anti-clockwise. Because the measurement of angle is from this horizontal axis. Okay. So this is like a negative angle. This is like a positive angle. So you can consider something like this. Okay. Please note. So most important is alpha comma beta are measured in opposite direction. Measured in opposite direction. Alpha comma beta are measured in opposite directions. Clear, Amma?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. And now I'll rewrite the formula once again. What is B for a finite conductor? Finite conductor, that's given by mu naught I by 4 pi A into sine alpha plus sine beta. So I told you what is I. I need not tell. I is the current passing through the conductor, and A is the perpendicular distance. A is perpendicular distance of point P of point P. A is the perpendicular distance of the point P from the conductor, from the straight conductor. In fact, what we have taken is a straight conductor. And now you understood this one. It is for the straight conductor. This formula is for straight conductor. Next, this resolves into two cases. The case one is straight infinite conductor. Straight infinite conductor. For straight infinite conductor, alpha is equal to beta equal to 90 degrees. This condition you have to remember. For straight infinite conductor, alpha is equal to beta equal to 90 degrees. When you plug in that, what is sine alpha? Sine 90, that is 1. Sine 90, that is also 1. So sine alpha plus sine beta value, sine 90 plus sine 90, that is 2. So substitute that B for infinite conductor. B for the infinite conductor is mu naught I by 4 pi A into 2. So this formula is remembered in two ways. That is mu naught I by 2 pi A is one way people will remember. The other way is mu naught by 4 pi into 2I by A. Like this also they will remember. Sometimes this is comfortable, sometimes this is comfortable. No problem anyway. You can use either of the thing, no issues. Now I'll solve a problem based on this. And today we'll close with this. I hope you have finished this. We will see the next part question. So the thing is, they have given a finite conductor, and the finite conductor, there is a 2 amp current which is flowing through the finite conductor, and they have given a point P at a distance of 10 meters from the conductor, at a distance of 10 meters from the conductor. And now they have given two angles here. And the angle, this is about 30 degrees. It is measured topwards, and 45 degrees is measured this way. And now you had to find the direction of the magnetic field at the point P, and also the amount of the magnetic field. How to find the direction? It's very simple. Hold the conductor with your right hand. You will get anyway inwards. That's the direction, inwards. That part is over. And now how to find the magnetic field? Just use the formula. B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi A. A value is 10 meters into mu naught I by 4 pi A into sine alpha plus sine beta. Straight. Plug in that. So mu naught by 4 pi. This value we have to find. Mu naught by 4 pi value is 1 into 10 to the power of minus 7. I told you. Now current I is 2 amps. And now the distance is about 10 meters. And now sine alpha is 30. That is sine 30 plus sine 45. Beta is 45. So we have plugged in. So simple, then it goes to be 2 into 10 to the power of minus 8. So we'll put this here. Into sine 30 is half, sine 45 is 1 by root 2. So you get 2 into 10 to the power of minus 8 into, so when you take the LCM, what you get is, so here let me make it as root 2 and divide it by 2. So I get root 2 plus 1 whole divided by 2. This is what I get. So this 2 and this 2 will get cancelled. Root 2 value is 1.414. If I substitute, I will get 1 plus 1.414. Root 2 value is 1.414. So this, some of the things you have to remember, and the root 3 value is 1.732. Sometimes we have to use these values in order to get the answer perfectly. So it's not a very perfect answer, but still we'll tell perfect what is given as per the options. Okay, in that sense I'm telling. So it's like, so this is 2.414 into 10 to the power of minus 8 Tesla. So that's the magnetic field. The B value is 2.414 into 10 to the power of minus 8 Tesla. So that's the amount of magnetic field what you get at the point P. And now it is directed inwards. It is directed inwards. So that's how we give the answer. Yeah, please note it. There is another case I forgot to discuss, something called semi-infinite conductor. With that, we'll close. Can I clear this, Ma?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good, good. Now we have to deal with another case called, so finite conductor case. Once again, I'll write B for the finite conductor. FC is for finite conductor. That is mu naught I by 4 pi A into sine alpha plus sine beta. Okay, the condition is like, this is the conductor, this is the current I which is flowing through the conductor. A point P is at a distance of A, and now this is my alpha, this is my beta. Both alpha and beta should be measured in opposite directions. So this is the concept what you have to know. Now there is a case called semi-infinite conductor. For a semi-infinite, for an infinite conductor, what is the condition? Alpha and beta should be 90. For a semi-infinite conductor, how it looks like semi-infinite conductor? So first let's understand the infinite conductor. Infinite conductor is both sides it is infinity. Both sides it is infinity. That is the situation. So that is a infinite conductor. This is infinite. Semi-infinite means, semi-infinite is one end you will have like this. Okay. One end. The other end goes to infinity. One end you will have like this. This conductor is infinite compared to the point P. So other end will be going on like this. That is called semi-infinite conductor. For a semi-infinite conductor, one angle alpha is equal to 0. The other angle beta happens to be 90. It can be either way. One angle is 0. The other angle is 90. So you can take that as you wish. Okay. This alpha you can choose as 90 or beta you can choose as 0. It's up to you. Doesn't matter. Now, once you plug in this beta semi-infinite conductor, SIC, semi-infinite conductor, is given by mu naught I divided by 4 pi A. Sine 90 plus sine 0. What happens? Sine 90 plus sine 0. What is the answer here? 1. So this factor will be 1. So this is the formula. For a semi-infinite conductor, mu naught I by 4 pi A. We'll consider the magnetic field only at the edge of the conductor. For a semi-infinite conductors, we'll consider the magnetic field only at the edge of the conductor. That is given by mu naught I by 4 pi A. Your problems will come like this only. Is this clear, Amma? Clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
So once we recap, we have little bit of time. We'll recap in that time. So what is the thing we have done? So here, the recap of the concepts. B is called the magnetic field. Magnetic field will happen when there is a conductor, when there is a current. And the magnetic field can be found out by right hand palm rule. And if the current is like this, you will put a thumb like this and curl the fingers. The curl of the fingers will show you the direction of the magnetic field. In this case, it is inwards. In this side, it is outwards. So the magnetic field will be at different points. It will have different directions. At different points, the magnetic field will have different directions. Okay, ma? So that is the most important thing. At different points, it will have different directions. And now the magnetic field from the Biot-Savart's law is given by dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi into I dl sine theta by r square. So that is from the Biot-Savart's law. We will, for Biot-Savart's law, we'll consider some current element and take a point P, and this vector what we have joined to the point P from the current element, and the angle between the current element is called theta. The current element direction is the direction of the current. The current element direction is the direction of the current. Is the direction of the current. Is the direction of the current. So this is the first and foremost thing which you have to remember. Okay, ma? This is the part 1 what we have done. And the direction of the magnetic field we have designated in different cases. And now after that, we have dealt the case of a finite conductor. For a finite conductor, we will choose a point P. The point P is at a perpendicular distance. Always remember, this is a perpendicular distance of A. And now from the top of this conductor, when you join, what you get is alpha. That means this perpendicular and this line, what is the angle? That is alpha. That is measured top side. And from the bottom of this conductor, you join another line. This angle measured is beta. Okay, right. The top, that is alpha, that's way, that is clockwise, this is anti-clockwise. Both alpha and beta have to measured in opposite direction. So alpha, beta to be measured in opposite directions. Opposite directions. Both alpha, beta have to be measured in the opposite directions. Okay, na? So that's most important. And the magnetic field at the point P. Suppose this current direction is like this. At the point P, you get inwards. Suppose if I take somewhere here, I will get outwards. The current direction will be outwards. And the B is given by mu naught I by 4 pi A into sine alpha plus sine beta. This is the thing what you have to remember. For infinite conductor, this is a finite conductor. For an infinite conductor, it is alpha is equal to beta equal to 90 condition will substitute. We get the answer mu naught I by 2 pi A. This is the for an infinite conductor. For a semi-infinite conductor, it will be mu naught I by just half of this, you see, 4 pi A. That's it. Semi-infinite conductor case is half of the infinite conductor case. Now clear, hopefully. Everyone?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
ma, we'll close at this point. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. Okay.